My name is D. Lanier Shook, and I am the information collector. Today, I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, at the corner of Brevard Road and Sardis Road. And what I want to show you is the Asheville Exchange. It's a very nice apartment development. And the reason I'm pointing it out is this area is booming. And once the economy picks back up, it'll be booming even more. The Asheville outlet is just across Brevard Road. There's a new Dollar Tree just down the road. And another reason I wanted to highlight this, right across from me, there's an old Kmart. It just emptied out a year or two ago. Up from me, there's a Toys R Us that is obviously empty. Plenty of room for development. You can see the miniature storage there. Once again, this will be available for development. So this is an amazing area. Yes, Merle, I'm hurrying. Keep your feet on the ground. You wore the wrong jacket. Anyway, last Thursday, the American Chemistry Council released an infographic charting 4 years of shifts in American recycling industry. The changes were driven by China's standards for imported scrap, paper, and plastic, which were tightened 4 years ago. The imports of plastic to be recycled into China dropped from 200,000 tons 4 years ago to around a tenth of that. And during that time, the American market has responded with 66 advanced recycling projects that have been announced with nearly $6 billion in value. The advanced recycling involves more than just sorting the items and putting them out for recycling. It involves a little chemistry. You have to add some things, and once again, it shows the promise of materials science. Last Friday, in light of the winter storm emergency in Texas, the EPA temporarily waived Clean Air Act standards for Texas. This gives the Texas government and industry latitude in their response, and I'm sure they deeply appreciated it. Last Wednesday, the United States Department of Transportation opened the application process for $889 million of Infrastructure for Rebuilding America grants. The goal is to assist recovery from the pandemic while addressing climate change, environmental justice, and racial equity. Last Saturday, the Department of Justice announced the deportation of Friedrich Karl Berger. Berger was a war guard at the Neuengamme concentration camp during the Second World War. Acting ICE Director Tay Johnson said, quote, "We are committed to ensuring the United States will not serve as a safe haven for human rights violators and war criminals. Now 95, Berger was living in Tennessee. And last November, an appeals board cleared the way for a February ruling by an immigration judge to deport Berger to Germany. Berger is accused of guarding prisoners during a 2-week forced march in the winter of 1945, during which 70 prisoners, mostly Russian, Dutch, and Polish civilians, died. Last Friday, the Department of Defense released a list of contracts for that day. And some of the highlights are: Huntington Ingalls received a contract to overhaul, refuel, and modernize the aircraft carrier USS John C. Stennis CVN-74. This contract is valued at $2,994,237,224. Raytheon received a $75 million contract to provide APY-10 radars for P-8A Poseidons. And $1.5 million of this contract will be spent in Black Mountain, North Carolina. L3 Harris Technologies of Vine Nuys, California received $10.5 million for a contract to provide radio frequency amplifiers, divider combiners, and isolators for the Egyptian military. They also received a $4 million DARPA contract for Resilient Networked Distributed Mosaic Communications. These are long-range communication devices that do not use big antennas that require lots of power. General Dynamics Land Systems received a $25.5 million contract for Abrams Platform Embedded Training. This incorporates cybersecurity elements, which is important because they switched the Abrams tank to a computer tablet control system. Anchorage, Alaska-based Atna Global received an $8 million contract for a small arms range in Klamath Falls, Oregon, which will be completed by April 2022. And among other items, Rand Corporation received a $417 million contract to support development of defense policy. Last Tuesday, a press release from L3 Harris highlighted the landing of NASA's Perseverance rover on Mars. They pointed out that Perseverance and the ground control stations used L3 avionics, sensors, and transceivers, and said this is the climax of decades of L3 Harris components supporting NASA. In fact, for 20 years, L3 Harris components and radios have been circling Mars. Last Friday, Tucson Mayor Regina Ramiro released a weekly update newsletter which kept citizens of the city informed of several developments. First, Ford and the Salvation Army on February 23rd passed out masks at Ford's PPE Day at the Salvation Army House in Tucson and Phoenix. Each person who visited received 20 masks. Mayor Ramiro was pleased to announce that she had shared Tucson's Million Tree Initiative at the 2021 Tree City USA Virtual Conference. Tucson has a Ready, Set, Wreck program, which is now successfully utilizing 6 vans, personal protective equipment, and hand washing stations to allow recreational activities to resume. They used CARES funds to provide for this mobile recreation. They announced the March 3rd and 4th virtual Tucson Transportation Talks to discuss safe streets and improvements, mobility options, with emphasis on climate, social, environmental, and equity issues. They reminded residents of the Climate Action Community Service survey going around. And finally, very significantly, they are going to have Zoom meetings on February 24th and 25th concerning accessory dwelling units. Now, accessory dwelling units are important for a couple of reasons. You all know these as garage apartments, mother-in-law apartments, or even a guest house. They're important for, first off, they can be a good source of income, but Tucson is addressing them as an option for affordable housing. And this falls in many cases in the lines of, per se, temporary rentals and Airbnb. So accessory dwelling units are something that cities have had to address in the past decade, and they're also an option for affordable housing, especially with so many people in dire financial straits following the pandemic.